Genetics Tutorial by Luisa Munera and Salome Beller. Vocabulary: heterozygous, an organism with two different alleles for traits. Homozygous, an organism with equal alleles for traits.
Vocabulary: recessive, an allele that is in the presence of a dominant allele does not show. Dominant, an allele that always shows. Recessive is blue eyes, dominant are brown eyes.
Punnett squares. Punnett squares are what scientists use to represent genes. A Punnett square is divided into two parts, the inside of the square and the outside of the square. The inside of the square is subdivided into four other parts, each one representing a possible allele combination the offspring might have. The outside of the square shows the allele combination of each of the parents.
Punnett squares and percents. Scientists know the probability of a child being born with certain genes because of Punnett squares. See, the Punnett square is divided into four parts, each one representing 25% of the 100% probability.
Punnett squares and ratios. Ratios are handy when doing predictions about the phenotype of the offspring. As we mentioned before, each square represents 25% probability, or 1/4 probability. Based on this, you can see that the ratio of the square below, for example, is 1:2, dominant to carrier, 1:1, dominant to recessive, or 1:2, recessive to carrier.
First, let's start with the basics. Who was Mendel? Mendel was a monk and a great scientist. He is considered today as the father of genetics because he discovered that some genes are recessive while others are dominant. He also discovered what heterozygous and homozygous is and the probability of getting a child with certain traits. His experiments with plants guided to the path to knowledge upon traits.
Mendel's experiments. Mendel experimented with pea plants, mixing purple peas and white peas. He discovered that 1 in every 4 pea plants created by this mix was white. This, he later found out, was because of dominant recessive, heterozygous, and homozygous. Purple was a dominant color. Below you can see a Punnett square with 2 heterozygous parents, which is the case of Mendel's pea plants.
Non-Mendelian genetics. Mendel discovered many things about genetics that no one had ever dared to question before, but he only discovered the basics. Scientists after him that looked into his work discovered that not all allele pairs have a dominant-recessive interaction. Some of them have codominance or incomplete dominance.
Incomplete dominance. Going into more depth about what Mendel didn't discover, incomplete dominance happens when the child does not show either of its parents' phenotypes but a mix of them. In the picture you can see an example shown in the Punnett square. The offspring of the flowers shows a combination of the red color of one of the parents and the white color of the other, creating pink.
Codominance. Going back to what Mendel did not discover, codominance occurs when both of the parents' alleles are in the phenotype. Therefore, the child has both the father's and the mother's alleles present physically. Below, you can see that the child of the cows show both the brown of the father and the white of the mother. This happens because the allele of both parents combine in the offspring. Real-life examples: Luisa's family. Mom, brown eyes, heterozygous. Dad, brown eyes, homozygous dominant. Luisa, brown eyes. Mom, brown hair, homozygous dominant. Dad, brown hair, homozygous dominant. Luisa, brown hair, homozygous dominant.
Real-life examples. Salo's family. Salo's mom has brown eyes and is homozygous, while her dad has green eyes and is heterozygous. Salo's eyes are green. Salo is heterozygous, meaning she is a carrier of the brown-eyed gene. It is the same for her hair, since her mom is also homozygous for brown hair and her dad is heterozygous for blonde. Thank you! We hope you learned a lot about genetics. See you next time! Bye!
Created using Powtoon.